Billionaire Michael Scott found his maid and his twins at an old abandoned cabin, and in that moment, his whole life began to fall apart. The house he left that morning was full of noise, toys on the floor, small voices calling him daddy, but when he came back, there was only silence. No laughter, no footsteps, no answers. His sons were gone. The woman he trusted with their lives was gone. And deep inside him, a fear rose that no money could silence. He searched with shaking hands and a broken breath, not knowing if he would find his children alive or if he was already too late. When Michael followed a faint light deep into the forest and saw the cabin standing alone in the dark, he expected the worst. He expected lies, betrayal, maybe even loss he could never undo. But what he saw inside that cabin was not what he imagined. It was not evil, it was not theft, it was something far more painful. A truth tied to his dead wife, a secret hidden for years, and a sacrifice made in silence. That night, standing at the edge of that broken cabin, Michael would learn that the woman he thought was just a maid was never a stranger at all. And the truth waiting for him would change the way he saw his wife, his children, and himself forever. Michael Scott woke up that morning the same way he had for the last 2 years, slowly, with a heavy feeling in his chest. The house was quiet, but not empty. He could hear soft movement downstairs, small feet moving across the floor, the low voice of Angela speaking gently. That sound was the only thing that made mornings bearable since Vanessa died. He lay still for a moment, staring at the ceiling. Some days he could almost forget she was gone. Other days, like this one, the memory sat on him like weight he could not push away. He got out of bed, washed his face, and put on his suit. By the time he reached the kitchen, Ethan and Caleb were already seated at the table. Angela stood near the stove, turning pancakes in a pan. She wore the same plain clothes she always wore, clean but worn, nothing fancy. Her hair was tied back, her face calm. She smiled when she saw him. "Good morning, sir," she said softly. Michael nodded. "Morning." The twins looked up at him at the same time. "Daddy," Caleb said. Michael bent down and kissed their heads. "Be good today." They nodded. Angela placed a plate in front of them and poured juice into their cups. She moved carefully, like someone who did not want to disturb anything. Michael noticed that about her from the first day. She never took space that was not offered. "I need to take the boys out today," Angela said. "Just some things I need to handle." Michael barely looked up from his phone. Messages, meetings, numbers that never ended. "That's fine. We might be back a little late," she added. He paused and glanced at her. Something in her eyes made him stop for a second. Not fear, not guilt, just something quiet and deep. "Just keep your phone on," he said. She nodded. "Of course." Michael left the house without another thought. He told himself everything was normal. Angela had never given him a reason to worry. She had been there when the twins cried at night. She had been there when they asked for their mother. She was steady in ways he was not. The day moved fast. Meetings stacked on meetings. Voices filled the room, but none of it felt real. Around 3 in the afternoon, Michael checked the time and frowned. He sent a short message to Angela. No reply. By 4, he called. The phone rang, then stopped. He told himself she was busy. By 5, his chest felt tight. He left the office early. The drive home felt longer than usual. The sun was already dropping when he pulled into the driveway. The house lights were on. That should have been comforting. It was not. The front door was unlocked. Michael stepped inside. "Angela," he called. "Boys." No answer. The living room looked the same as always. Toys on the floor. A blanket half folded on the couch. Nothing broken. Nothing missing. And yet, something felt wrong. He walked faster, checking each room. The kitchen was empty. The twins' room was empty. Their beds were made. Michael's hands began to shake. He moved through the house again, slower this time, hoping he had missed something. He opened closets. He checked the garage. Angela's car was gone. The twins' jackets were gone. Michael stood in the middle of the house, breathing hard. For the first time in his life, he felt powerless. His money meant nothing. His name meant nothing. He whispered a prayer he had not spoken since Vanessa's funeral. "Please," he said quietly, "not my children." He pulled out his phone and opened the security app. He rewound the footage to that morning. There was Angela, walking through the hall with a small bag. She stopped at the closet, took out the thick jackets, folded them carefully. Then, she knelt in front of the twins, speaking to them softly. They listened, they nodded. She hugged them, long, tight. Then the garage camera showed her buckling them into the car, adjusting straps, checking twice. She handed Ethan his toy. She stood still for a moment, looking back at the house. Then she drove away. Michael's legs felt weak. He opened another app on his phone, the tracker. He had installed it months ago, telling himself it was for safety. Now it was all he had. A small dot blinked on the screen, moving north. He grabbed his keys and ran. The city lights faded as he drove. The roads narrowed. Trees pressed in from both sides. His phone lost signal. The tracker froze, then disappeared. Michael slammed his hand on the steering wheel. "No," he said aloud. Then, through the trees, he saw it. A light, just one. He stopped the car and stepped out. The air was cold. The ground was uneven beneath his feet. He followed the light until the trees opened into a small clearing. An old cabin stood there, barely holding itself together. One lamp burned inside. And in front of the door stood Angela, holding a hammer in her hands, her body placed between the door and the dark woods behind her. Ethan and Caleb were behind her, pressed close. Alive. Michael dropped to his knees. "Daddy," Ethan said, running to him. Michael pulled them into his arms, shaking. He held them like he might never let go. He looked up at Angela, his voice breaking. "Why?" he whispered. "Why are you here with my children?" Michael did not stand up right away. He stayed on his knees, holding Ethan and Caleb close, breathing them in, their small bodies warm against his chest. He needed that moment to believe they were real, that he had not lost them. The twins clung to him, shaking, their arms tight around his neck. Angela stood a few steps away, the hammer still in her hand. Her face was pale, her eyes red. She did not come closer, she did not run. She waited. "Daddy!" Caleb whispered, his voice low and scared. There was a man. He tried to come inside. Michael felt something turn cold inside him. He lifted his head slowly and looked at Angela. "What man?" he asked. Angela swallowed hard. "Someone who should not be here," she said. "I heard him moving around the cabin. I grabbed the hammer, because I did not know what else to do." Michael stood up, keeping the boys behind him. The forest felt too quiet. Every sound felt louder now, the wind, the leaves, the creak of the old cabin. "Angela," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Why did you bring my children here?" She looked at the ground. For a long moment, she did not speak. When she finally looked up, tears were running down her face. "Because this place matters," she said softly. "And because your wife asked me to." Michael froze. "What did you say?" Angela's hands began to shake. She set the hammer down slowly. "This cabin belonged to Vanessa's mother," she said. "This is where Vanessa grew up. This is where she learned how to survive." Michael felt dizzy. "Vanessa never told me about this place." "She was afraid," Angela said. "Afraid you would see her differently." Michael opened his mouth to speak, but before he could, a sound came from the trees behind the cabin. Heavy footsteps, slow, close. Angela's body went stiff. She stepped in front of the door again without thinking. "Get inside," she whispered to the boys. Michael turned just as a man stepped out of the shadows. He was older, his clothes worn, his face rough. His eyes moved from Angela to Michael, then to the children. "Well," the man said, his voice rough. "Look at this." Angela's jaw tightened. "Leave," she said. "You have no right to be here." The man laughed. "This land belongs to me now." Michael stepped forward. "You need to walk away," he said. "Right now." The man looked at him with a slow smile. "You must be the rich husband, the one who thought my family never existed." Michael did not understand, but he did not move. "This ends now," he said. The man's eyes returned to Angela. "I will be back," he said, with proof. Then he turned and disappeared into the trees. Angela's legs gave out. She sat down on the porch, her whole body shaking. Michael stood there, his heart heavy with questions he was not ready to ask. Inside the cabin, the air smelled old and clean. A lamp sat on a small table. The twins sat together on a worn couch, watching their father with worried eyes. "You have been here before," Michael said quietly. Angela nodded. "Many times." "Tell me the truth," Michael said. "All of it." Angela took a deep breath. "Vanessa and I were sisters," she said. "Half-sisters, but that never mattered. We grew up together. Our mother married that man. Life was hard. This cabin was the only place we felt safe." Michael listened, his chest tight. "She never told me," he said. "She loved you," Angela replied, "but she did not think you would love all of her." Angela walked to the table and pulled out a small metal box. She placed it in front of him. "She left this for you," she said. Michael opened the box. Inside were journals, old photos, and a tape with his name written on it. "She wanted to tell you," Angela said. "She just ran out of time." Michael sat down slowly, the weight of everything pressing down on him. He had built towers and companies, but he had never truly known the woman he married. Outside, the forest stood still, waiting. And Michael knew that whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same again. Michael sat at the small wooden table inside the cabin for a long time. The lamp cast a soft circle of light around him. Outside, the night stayed quiet, like it was listening. Ethan and Caleb slept on the couch, wrapped in old blankets Angela had stored there long ago. Their faces were calm now, but Michael knew fear still lived inside them. Angela stood near the wall, her hands folded, waiting. "Sit," Michael said quietly. She sat across from him. "Play it," he said, pointing to the tape. Angela hesitated, then placed it into the old player. A low crackle filled the room. Then Vanessa's voice came through, soft, familiar, and gentle. "Michael, if you are hearing this, it means I did not find the courage in time." Michael closed his eyes, his chest tightened. "I loved you deeply," Vanessa continued, "but I was scared that if you knew where I came from, you would see me as small. I built a new life, and I hid the old one. That was my mistake." Michael pressed his hands together, his fingers shaking. "This cabin saved me," Vanessa said. "It saved Angela. And I need it to save our boys too. Please let them know all of me, not just the parts that look clean." The tape clicked off. Michael did not move. "I failed her," he whispered. Angela shook her head. "She chose love," she said. "She just did not know how to show all of herself." Morning came slowly. Pale light moved through the trees. Birds began to call. Michael had not slept. He stood when he heard engines. A sheriff's truck rolled into the clearing. A second car followed. The man from the night before stepped out, his face tight with anger. The sheriff walked forward. "I am here about a property dispute." The man spoke fast, holding out papers. "This land is mine." The sheriff studied the papers, then she shook her head. "These are not valid." Michael stepped forward. "My lawyers are on the way," he said. "This land belongs to Angela. It was passed down legally." The man shouted, but the sheriff raised her hand. "You need to leave." The man glared at Angela one last time, then drove away. When the sheriff left, Michael turned to Angela. "Why did he want this place?" Angela looked around. "I never knew." They searched together. Behind the fireplace, Ethan found a loose stone. Inside was a sealed bag. Papers, letters, maps. Michael read them slowly. His face changed. "This land is worth millions," he said. "There are minerals under it." Angela covered her mouth. Vanessa knew. "Yes," Michael said. "She stopped my company from buying it years ago." Michael looked at the cabin, then at his sons playing outside. "I will never sell this land," he said. "Never." He made the calls that morning. Lawyers, trusts, orders. Everything was placed in Angela's name, protected forever. "You are not my maid," Michael said to her. "You are family." Angela cried. Months passed. The cabin was repaired, but not changed. The walls stayed rough. The air stayed honest. The man never returned. Ethan and Caleb ran through the trees, laughing. They placed stones near the porch, one for each visit. "Do you think Mommy sees us?" Caleb asked. "Yes," Michael said. "I do." Angela stood beside him. The past was no longer hidden. Michael had built many things in his life, but this broken cabin filled with truth was the only place that ever felt like home. Dear viewers, this story is not just about a billionaire, a maid, or an old cabin hidden in the woods. It is about truth, about the parts of our lives we hide because we are afraid we will not be loved if people see us fully. Michael had money, power, and control, but it took losing his sense of safety to understand that love cannot live where truth is buried. This story reminds us that family is not always who we expect, and home is not built with wealth or status. Home is built with honesty, forgiveness, and the courage to face painful memories instead of running from them. Vanessa's greatest gift was not money or land, but the truth she left behind, a truth that healed her children and brought her family together. If this story touched your heart, please like this video to help it reach more people who need to hear this message. Subscribe to our channel if you believe in stories that heal, stories that teach, and stories that remind us what truly matters. Share this video with someone who may be carrying a hidden past or silent pain. They may need it more than you know. We would also love to hear from you. Comment where you are watching from, and tell us what this story taught you. If you want more deep, emotional stories like this, simply comment "more stories," and you will be the first to receive our next powerful story. Before you go, here are 3 questions we want you to answer in the comments. 1. Do you think Michael would have loved Vanessa the same way if he had known her past from the beginning? 2. Have you ever hidden a part of yourself because you were afraid of being judged? 3. What does home truly mean to you, a place, or the people who love you? Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes life takes everything away, just to show us what truly matters.